everyone, how's it going? Matthew Bailey Media here, and welcome to another 2023 movie review. And this time it is going to be on a film that, honestly, it took me over a month after its release to finally manage to see this movie. I did see it with my mother, who asked me if I could use some of my free tickets to help her and her friend go see this movie with me. And I said, you know what, I'll decide to see it because I've been hearing a lot of crazy things about it. And that is the movie Sound of Freedom. Now, before some people in a certain community come after me with insults about my thoughts on this movie, all I gotta say is this movie was an eye-opener, not just to me or to my mom and her friend, but it opened my eyes to a lot of crazy things going on in this world, and I'm glad that they finally managed to get this movie released. I say they finally managed to get it released because this movie was actually filmed like over 5 years ago in like 2017, and they were supposed to release it in 2018, but then I think the company that made this movie, Angel Studios, was owned by 20th Century Fox, and that studio got bought out by Disney, and Disney for some reason did not want to release this movie. However, with all the stuff that's been going on with Disney when it comes to like the controversy surrounding them, when it comes to certain movies like Strange World and Strange World and Lightyear, specifically those two movies, and when it came to pushing a certain agenda in those movies, I can see why Angel Studios tried very hard to get this movie released. The only way they got it released was because of the generosity and push of a lot of churches in the country who wanted people to see this movie to understand why a certain thing like child trafficking. I'm gonna say it in this video. I'm sorry, but this movie really got me. Child trafficking is so 100% wrong, and like the main actor of the movie said, God's children are not for sale. I just think that was like a crazy great message that they pushed in this movie. And going back to what I said about certain people in a certain community who are hating on this movie for beating out movies that are sort of pushing that agenda in a way. Specifically, the one movie that definitely, not necessarily that community, but they did push an agenda sort of when it comes to the phrase capitalism that the female character of Indiana Jones 5 said, and the fact that they pretty much made her pull Indiana Jones around like an old man sort of thing. That was because again, this movie came out a few days after Indiana Jones, ironically right before the 4th of July, on the July 3rd, and it's hard to say that I'm not surprised that this movie ended up beating out Indiana Jones, which ended up being a flop. And I will say that the people in a certain community, which starts with a W, is all I'm gonna say. If y'all probably know what I'm referring to, they got pissed that this movie ended up doing so much better than Indiana Jones 5 and a few other films that have come out over the last few months that have been just pushing that same agenda. That I'm not surprised that this movie ended up being a huge success. Even though it's just a domestic release, rumor has it it's actually going to get released internationally now because of how well it did in the United States. And I won't say I'm surprised if it ends up being such a huge hit that it ends up beating out Indiana Jones' worldwide box office, which from last time I checked is currently I think $370 to $380 million is what Indiana Jones has worldwide off of a $340-ish million budget, not even including marketing. So I will be, and plus this movie only had a $15 million budget. Yeah, get that, $15 million budget as opposed to a $340 million budget. That's like $325 million more to make Indiana Jones, which is to me a ridiculous amount. I would have understood like maybe $200 million, maybe 175 to make Indiana Jones 5, but no, they had to go a huge distance to make this movie. And there was another movie that came out this year that had a huge production budget, not even including the marketing, and that was Fast X, or Fast 10 to be precise. And at least that movie ended up making almost, I think it managed to break even somewhat at the box office. And that movie didn't push the agenda that Indiana Jones did. But enough of talking about that. I'm talking about Sound of Freedom. All I can say is that this is a great movie when it comes to pushing a certain message that needs to be heard. And plus, it's not even a legit studio film, like a big budget blockbuster. It's just a individual sort of indie Bollywood film that it tells a message, and that's the type of movies that should be telling those types of messages, not some weird blockbuster movie or whatever trying to push that's a similar agenda. But anyways, let me give you my rating of this film. So this is quite a shock to me, but I did not think I was going to give any other movie this rating aside from the ones I already did. But I'm going to give Sound of Freedom a solid 5 out of 5. Yep, you heard me correctly. Sound of Freedom gets a perfect score, and I've only had 2 other films now that had that score. This will be the 3rd one now, so you can definitely bet these 3 will be in my top 5 out of the 15 I'm probably going to have on my list. But anyways, that's all for now in this movie review. And as always, I will see all you guys in the next video.